Welcome Leica fans, today I have a brand new 35mm f1.4 lens for Leica M-AT. This lens has been causing quite a stir in the Leica world because it's a homage to the famous Leica Summilux 35 1.4 version 2 and also a little bit version 1. At first glance it actually looks exactly like a Leica lens, but on the inside it is slightly different. The big thing you will notice is it says it's made in China, not in Canada or Germany, and can you spot it amongst that lineup? Coming up, everything you need to know about this lens. I'll do some comparisons, the usual testing. Let's get started. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So first, let's do some real world testing, and for that, I jump on a plane and head to the Czech Republic. I meet up with some patrons, Thomas and Toby, and Toby kindly drives us into Prague, and we first hit the shops and go and check out the camera stores with our lenses to both try to find some bargains and for me to test this lens. So if you've never been to Prague, I highly recommend checking out shops like Photo Skoda. We were in the shop and that nice guy said hello, he recognised me from YouTube. These photos are shot wide open. I'm going to be showing RAW and RAW Plus preset. If you want my presets, I'll put links below to presets. So wide open f1.4 shot on the Leica M10P, as you can see from this footage. And I just wanted to see how sharp it was in the centre and what the rendering's like, because it is based on a classic softer vintage lens. We were kind of wandering around the shop while the others were looking at lenses, taking some sample photos, and the center sharpness is kind of usable, especially once you add a preset or do kind of any sort of editing. But at first glance the raw files do look quite soft, which is to be expected because it's based on a softer classic Leica lens. Toby and I were checking out the photo books in Photo Skoda to get some inspiration for some high quality black and white film prints. And with that, it was time to head out and do a bit more walking around and a bit more testing. I love some of these photos, especially once the presets applied. The presets are nothing special, it's just what I applied to all my photos before sending them to the models. And it really just gives these photos a bit more punch and a bit more crispness, which is lacking in the raw files. This is now in the Leica gallery, so we just popped in for a coffee before we were due to drive. We're sitting in the gallery and this nice guy stopped and said hello to us and joined us at our table. And it turns out it's Thomas, the guy who made the pictures, which you can see on the wall in the background. He had his laptop out and was showing us some pictures. And next minute it seemed like there was some event on, some gallery opening. And all these people just started flooding into the gallery. And we happened to be sat next to like lots of people that are really into Leicas. So all these guys are awesome. They were chatting to us and pulling out their various Leica cameras. With that, we were late finishing, but we then had to drive to a city called Pilsen, where we then stay for a few days to do the model shoots. Because we'd then hooked up with Thomas, who's a local great street photographer, we went back a few days later, met Thomas, and he kindly gave us a tour around of Pilsen, and that gave me a great chance to test this lens, and also the lens you may have seen in the last video talking about the VisoFlex. Talking the VisoFlex, most of the product shots in this video are shot with the VisoFlex, if you're wondering. Okay, lens details. So first of all, what do you get in the box? So the box actually says Artizlab, not Funleader, and so does the lens. And in the box you get a metal push-on lens cap, a Series 7 UV filter, and a Series 7 classic hood, which is very similar to the original hoods that you got with the Leica lenses. At first glance it just looks like a pinch cap hood, as you can see here, and that was it fitting on my Leica Summilux lens. But if you unscrew the hood, you can fit your Series 7 filters. So it's designed to have the filter inside the hood because there's no filter threads. We'll come on to that aspect as we get into the video. You can see it's very nicely made. It's very, very Leica-like. It's actually more Leica-like than some of my actual Leica lenses, believe it or not. It's got the same wings for your aperture controls. I think they call them wings. It's got the focus lock, the same as the original Summilux, the steel rim. Again, I'll come on to that as well. That will annoy some people, and yeah, we can talk about that. The focus throw is super smooth, as is the aperture controls. As you can see here, you can see the helicoid working inside. You've got a close focus distance of 1 meter, which again could be annoying for some people. And the design is extremely similar to the version 2 Summilux, including that silver band, which we're going to come on to. If you hold it next to a Pre-ASPH Leica Summilux 35f2, at first glance you would probably think they're both Leica lenses, so it really is that similar on the outside. Here you can see the lenses up close, and you can see the Summilux got a bit more of a warmer lens coating, and we'll come on to that. And then you can see the multi-coating front and back on the Funleader lens. So the important thing, the lens character. How does this lens actually perform? I shared some test photos already in this video, so now let's break it down into the different lens characteristics like I do in all my lens videos. Shooting this lens into the light, you will get some kind of quirky lens flare, which may be a love-hate thing. You do get the halos, but also those strange shapes, as you can see. Sun stars, this isn't the best lens for sun stars. You do get a bit of a sun star effect from 5.6 to f11, but it's not like a LeicaLand sun star. Vignetting, heavy vignetting at 1.4 f2, it's pretty much gone by f4 onwards, so not terrible. Lens bokeh, a popular one. Here you can see front bokeh, and then a crop showing the bokeh in the background. It wasn't the best weather for bokeh testing. Here's some more from using the lights, and again bokeh from the street lights. Lens coma. Now, as you saw from some of those bokeh shots, the lens smears the highlights in the corners really badly, and this is called coma. This might be a love-hate thing, but yeah, it does that a lot. Chromatic aberration, you will know this from many other fast lenses. You will get the purple fringing on the highlights wide open. Sharpness, this is important for many people, so I did a lot of testing. Here you can see side by sides, wide open it is very soft. This is a corner crop. This is a kind of mid crop and it's much better, but you do have to stop it down to get some decent sharpness. If we take 3 points of crop, as you can see here, lower left, very smudgy corners, wide open. Top left, again in the corner, soft corners, but in the center, wide open, it's decent enough to shoot wide open. We're in Starbucks, so non-sponsored. f1 versus f2, the lens really cleans up at f2 compared to f1.4, both in the corners and top and bottom, but a little bit in the center. 2.8 cleans up even further, f4 cleans up even more, all the way up to f11. Now, what about for portraits and photo shoots? So as a portrait guy, I can put a link below to my model photography book. I was using this lens mostly for portraits. 35mm maybe isn't the best for portraits, but being a fast 35mm is better than nothing. My preference for using this lens would be on a Leica SL or mirrorless camera, and then I'd use the LeicaLand close focus M to L adapter to allow me to get closer than the 1 meter minimum focus distance. All these photos are shot on M cameras, so this is what is possible with your M camera. But yes, in an ideal world, I'd use the SL, not the M. I just like to get closer, and 35mm at 1 meter isn't that close. It's fine for these sorts of wider environmental shots, but not if you're trying to get super blurry backgrounds. Here you can see example photos. That's the best bokeh I could get from around 1 meter close focus distance. See, this is shooting in Prague. It's in the street with available light. I can put a link to the Patreon behind the scenes if you're interested below. Okay, now the important bit, Leica versus Funleader. How does this lens actually compare to an original Leica Summilux SID5 f1.4 lens? As I mentioned, this is a homage or a clone or a copy, however you want to word it, of a Leica Summilux lens, but it's not quite 100% copy. So from the outside, it does look very, very similar to a version 2 Leica Summilux. Those cost around £2,000 to £3,000 on eBay, used from the 1960s. And as you see, they're very, very similar. There's also the version 1 steel rim, which has also got similarities, and I'll talk about that in a second. So side by side, here you can see the version 2 Summilux pre-spherical. This is the Funleader, and to most kind of areas, it's very, very similar, even down to the kind of the hoods and all the sorts of things that are included. There you can see the filters compared to what was included with the Leica lens, but the optical formula is different. So compared to the Leica lens, it's 8 elements in 6 groups, not 7 elements in 5 groups. It's multi-coated and it's lighter than the original. Did you know that the Summilux version 2 is actually the same optical formula as the Summilux version 4? So if you stop them down, they're basically the same. So bear that in mind when we talk about the Funleader. The version 1 pre-spherical steel rim is the same optical formula as the version 2, if you didn't know that. And the Funleader has taken the infinity lock from the version 1, not on the version 2. Now, what about compared to a Summilux? So I own the Summilux version 2 pre-spherical, as you can see here. First glance, very similar. The Summilux gives warmer rendering and a different flare pattern. But once you stop the lenses down in real-world testing, they're both very similar. The main advantage of the Summilux is its 0.7 close focus distance. Now what about Funleader versus Nocturne Classic SID5 1.4 version 2? As you can see, the Nocturne is much sharper, shot wide open in the center, as you saw from those quick mirror selfies. And then from this real testing when I'm photographing with the models, I borrowed Toby's lens for some pictures. If we zoom in, you can see that the Nocturne is very similar rendering, which makes sense because they say it's also based on the original Summilux lens. It's a cooler tone compared to the warmer Funleader. The Funleader looks almost too soft, but if you look at raw files, once you're at a preset, it sharpens up almost more than you need. So there's definitely enough sharpness shots wide open or close to wide open. I shot most of the photos for the models at either 1.4 or f2. And if I needed more sharpness, I'd obviously just stop down. I shot mostly on the M, but I did do a few with Thomas's SL because I didn't have mine with me. Here's the Nocturne at 0.7 meters. That's the biggest advantage for M camera users. What about comparing to more SID5mm lenses? Because I have a few. So I grabbed a few to show you a size comparison. Can you spot it in the lineup? It's the second smallest of the SID5mm lenses showed here, which are all M-mount SID5mm lenses. It's a bit bigger than the Scope R, but it's about half the size of the Type Arc. So in conclusion, can I recommend this lens? Was I impressed? Because it's based on a soft, glowy, like a classic lens, it's going to give you a glowy, soft look without any preset added or before you edit. Once you edit, and especially in black and white, I think it gives fantastic images. This lens performs like a 1950s or 1960s classic lens, so it's an art lens, not a pixel peeper lens. Pros of this lens: build quality, size, the price, and the lens character. It's not all good news. In terms of cons, I would say the minimum focus of 1 meter is annoying on an M camera, the infinity lock, and the lack of filter thread. If you're someone that likes the Nocturne Classic or you're on the market to buy the Pre-ASPH original Summilux lens, this offers a fantastic value for money. I can put a link below if you want to get this lens or check out how much this lens costs in your area. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for my amazing patrons, and hope to catch you in the next video.